So what you drinking?
I'm drinking Campari and soda and Grand Marnier and bitters and Sumo Mandarin orange juice. It's a summer drink, but it's so good.
It,
I've been into Campari and soda for a year now.
yeah, yeah.
So you just named this drink.
I just named it in honor of you because it's your specialty drink. It's the Spreadsheet. Hey, could I get a? I'll have a Bud Light, and the lady will have a Spreadsheet.
The lady will have a spreadsheet.
It's clearly a lady's drink.
Well, the color makes it
Yeah.
a lady's drink. Yeah.
I
So
know.
ladies drink spreadsheets. Yeah, I'm a nerd.
Yeah, there we go. All right, now that we've established that, let's get into it.
All right. Where to start? Where do you want to start?
Well, let's just start with the big things. This was a doubleheader for us this weekend, or I guess not technically, but we played Friday and Saturday.
Right.
And they were pretty big shows.
They were.
I mean,
Yeah.
not out of the ordinary necessarily, but the Oriental was the first one, and that was Friday night, and that sold well, and the crowd was certainly hot.
Yeah.
They were excited, and it was
Yeah.
it was apparently very, very loud
Oh, that's right.
in the room.
115 dB.
Yeah.
Maddie had measured.
And not, well, they have a dB meter right back by the soundboard because
Oh.
they're supposed to keep the sound at a certain level.
And 115 is within level?
No,
Pretty loud.
but apparently it was not just while we were playing, it was in between songs too.
Oh, so the crowd?
Yeah, the crowd was apparently
Dang.
very loud back
Oh my
by
gosh.
the sound booth.
Okay.
I don't know if that was hitting 115, but she did say it wasn't just when you were playing. It was
Interesting.
like, it was loud in between. So that was,
Yeah.
I guess the headline is we had a guest star.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple of different elements to the show, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
our
let's talk
guest-
different elements. So to take one step back and talk the background, we've been making a lot of brain effort, specifically Adrian and I, and Vic too, working on set lists and stuff. But we've been trying to think of ways to keep the Petty Nicks thing fresh. I guess we've talked about it over the years, but my big concern that I started worrying about is we see a lot of the same faces.
We had a couple say they came to 25 shows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my big fear, and if it's not 25, there's plenty of people who will say they've seen us 6 times, 10
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
whatever. And at some of those ticket prices, that is not a small amount of money. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a good customer.
Yeah.
But my worry started being like, I don't want people to be like, I've seen it 10 times. I know what it's going to be. And so how can we throw them some curveballs? And keeping in mind, not being too academic about it, but keeping in mind, I don't think swapping out a song or two or playing a B-list song or, a deep cut, whatever, I don't think that qualifies as something new
Right, because
to
it's
an audience member.
because from a stage performance perspective, a musical perspective, it is about the moments they experience. It's not about the particular songs they hear. It's how they feel.
Yeah, it's how they feel.
That time when she does that, or that time when we all go crazy like that, or that time that makes me feel this way.
Right.
So
Or if you look at it a percentage thing, we play one different 4-minute song in 2.5 or more hours of music. That's just a tiny percentage-wise change.
Yeah, if we swapped out just
If
one
we
song.
swapped out just one song or even just one song a set, you're going, that's just not, I don't think, so we've been coming up with all kinds of ideas that we're going to tell you about now. And the first one I already mentioned was the special guest. We got Bobby Griert from Stonebeat Invasion. We've talked about going to see them before. They are they do the Beatles and the Stones, and that's where the invasion part comes in, the British invasion of the 60s. And Bobby is the lead singer in that band, but he also plays saxophone. And oddly enough, we were in LA a fair amount around the same time. He was more,
Interesting.
he like lived in LA and was doing the LA Trying to Make It and also working in recording studios and all this stuff.
Oh,
And
cool.
I just obviously was like, I never lived there. We would just be there for here and there.
Yeah.
But we were talking, and we were like, oh my god, that's exactly when I was. And we were like talking old places that
Yeah.
we both knew.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, we had him come up and play saxophone on. Not that it matters really, but he played on Breakdown, which is our first song of our second set, and I felt like people flipped out. I think the reaction to, and it was just such a cool thing to have saxophone, and it really broke it up, the different instrument thing.
Yeah, we've never had a sax on stage with us in this band before, ever.
And
so.
we've talked before about the concept of saxophone.
Right.
And people do love it.
Why didn't we use the concept of saxophone before this? I don't know.
I don't know, because people saw it and were just like, yeah! Saxophone. But he didn't play a note. He was just like getting set with his microphone and stuff, and people were cheering. But Bobby's, he's in one of the bigger tribute bands, and so it was great to have him out.
He's a massive talent. I
Massive
respect
talent.
him so much.
He's a total rock star. He's just got the rock star energy and vibe, and just
And the natural musical talent.
yeah,
He's just
and charisma. I mean, Bobby's great. And so we did that, and that went really well. And then we had him come back out and do. We were like, hey man, if you want to hang out, just come out and do the encore, which is American Girl. And he just came out and just sort of riffed over American Girl. And then there were some spots where I was like yelling chord changes at him, because we literally did not rehearse this at all. Either of the things.
Didn't even tell him he was invited on American Girl until after he played Breakdown.
Yeah. He was like leaving the stage, and I was like, yo, if you want to stay, just stick around. And then so like at the end where we do the big thing, I was like D, E, G, A. And he was just ripping it up. And so that was really, really great. The idea came from, if you care that much about Tom Petty or whatever, there's an album from 1985 or 7 called Live at the Wiltern. And for whatever reason, on that live album, they had a horn section. So we were doing the version of Breakdown that is at Live at the Wiltern, and then we just had him come back out. And I thought it was such a great bookend to the set. And, from all the pictures and stuff people have been posting on Facebook, we're going to do the same thing this upcoming weekend with a different musician. Part of it, too, is we don't usually, if we can help it, have people open for us. So we don't get that many chances to like cross-pollinate with a lot of the other people doing the tribute thing, and which is one of the reasons I thought of the idea. It was like, well, why don't we have different people come out and just do a guest thing, and then we can hang out and all that stuff. Maybe not the coolest thing, though, that happened, because you had an idea.
Yeah. So, I was thinking, like, for other ways to create new moments, what if we made a rocky or something, like a high energy song acoustic?
Yeah, that's where it came from, yeah.
Or if we made an acoustic song rock. Like,
Right.
I was like, what if we just changed, like, the whole vibe of a particular song? And Rhiannon was the first one I thought of, and I looked up to see if Stevie Nicks, I knew she had done an acoustic version, actually. I knew that she liked to do a slow version of that one, which I've never been a fan of, so I never really paid attention to it. But she's done a piano version. And so I was like, what if we start with the piano version and then we go into the full thing?
Right.
And the thing that makes this a moment is not just the fact that it starts with piano. It's that we finish the previous song and I go off stage, and then we do a full blackout, and then I get on stage, and while I'm walking on stage, I sit down at the piano. So this is the first time in the history of this band that I've ever sat down at the piano and played. Then I turn on a whole bunch of LED candles that I've arranged on the piano.
Which looked amazing.
They look great before you turn them on, but then you turn them on, and like that's all you can see is the glow of the candles, like lighting my face on this completely blacked out stage.
Right.
And then slow fade up with a little bit more light, like a spotlight on me, and then I do a really slow version of the first verse of Rhiannon.
Right.
On playing piano and singing. Then you rock into the beginning of the second verse, and then we go on as usual. That moment was so cool.
And that's precisely what we were talking about, where it's all about the moment. It's not just that we did a different song. It's not just that we did a song in a different way, which arguably maybe you could get a pop out of that, maybe you don't. but the fact that the lights did go down, and I thought particularly at the Oriental, Brendan at Phil Long Music Hall, Boot Barn, did great too, but particularly at the Oriental, the way he, Harry was the light guy, and the way he blacked it out, and then the way, like, the candles came up, and he just waited until, like, people were just about to lose it. Like, clearly something's happening.
Yeah.
And then he threw the spotlight on you, and it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah. The drama of just waiting. I mean, maybe it was 3 or 4 seconds. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It was not long, but like, I could feel it in the room. I was like, people are like, what's gonna happen? Yeah.
And what was actually happening at the Boot Barn was I was tripping over my dress and the piano riser.
Because of course it was pitch black.
And I'm wearing, I got a much bigger, longer dress that has these,
Right.
It has these 4-foot sleeves that go down, like these bell sleeves that
Yeah.
go down to the bottom. So I like tried to walk out on stage, and first I tripped on my dress, and I like caught myself on the piano riser, and then I tried to step up on the piano riser, and I tripped on that too. Fortunately, it was all black. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody could hear it.
I could hear it.
It was so bad.
It was ka-thump, ka-thump.
It was a thumpy way. Yeah, it was not graceful.
Yeah, we need to figure out a...
I'm just aware now, you know.
Yeah.
It's practice.
Although it could be cool, it could even be sort of dramatic at the right room, like a Boot Barn room, where there is kind of a lot of distance to go. If we had somebody working the show, if they did the whole flashlight, like walked you out with the flashlight thing,
Right.
that would be like, wait, what's happening? So those are just a few of the things, and then coming up, we spent a night. I'm jumping timeline here, but we spent a night Sunday. Not a whole night, but we spent an evening on the phone with Vic, and we thought of ways to revamp the set and maybe try to get enough of a different order going. I thought you had such an excellent point. Even if it doesn't feel that different to the audience, it might feel different enough to us to kind of unlock some different energies going into stuff, because we just shifted some of the moments around. I mean, there's things you just can't do.
Yeah, I would say most of the set is still the same.
It's pretty close.
Pretty close. But there are a couple of places where we've had blocks of four songs or so that we have not broken up in 5 years.
Right.
And I considered them unbreakable because they work so well.
Yeah.
And we found a couple of ways to consider breaking them, and we'll see how it feels. Well, I mean, it's all trial and error. It's not a science. It's try it and see if it works. But
yeah, and I was talking about that with Kristen Parsons this morning. I mean, it is one of those things where you do have to not only try it, you have to try it enough times to go, okay, we've tried it 3, 5, 10 times. Now we know it really works, or now we know we got to revise because we've, the first time it doesn't work, it could be, there could be other circumstances.
It could be that it's new to us and we didn't get it right.
We're not sure enough about it, and we're not whatever. Or it could be just the room, or it could be, but once you've done it a few times and you go, you know what, we've now tried that several times and it just clearly is not working. Anyway, kind of exciting that we're still finding new ways to spice the thing up. And weren't we so excited about the candle idea? We were just jumping out of our skin, and you were like looking on the computer for LED candles. And
I was like, this has to happen. They do. They feel like they're made of wax.
And maybe not from like 3 feet away, but you get like 10, 20 feet away, and they look exactly like real. You wouldn't know they're not real candles. Yeah. It was really, we were just jumping up and down when we thought of that. So that is a big long loop back to saying that was Friday night. And then Saturday night we were down in Colorado Springs at what used to be called Boot Barn Hall. Now it's called Phil Long Music Hall. Phil Long is a Ford dealership, so they bought the naming rights to the place, but it's still the same room. Our good buddy Shane, who has run sound there for us for years, and we love him, and he does that awesome thing where he always saves our set, and so our sound check is like literally 5 minutes. You're just like, you know what, actually I need a little less of this time for whatever, the levels are a little different, but he just like pushes the button and everything's just like...
My sound check was 5 seconds long.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, center vocal, Adrian, and I was like, check, yeah, la. Yeah. That's exactly
I
right.
mean, because at this point, and because he saves everything, it's really just a line check. He's
Yeah.
not like, let me hear your guitar so I can EQ
Right.
it and whatever. He's just like, let me make sure it's working, and then everything's already set up. So, but unfortunately, or fortunately for Shane, unfortunate for us, Shane got bumped up, and he is now going to be the national. I don't know what his exact title is, but basically head of sound and production
Yeah.
for the entire chain. Which is maybe 5 or 6 venues now, but they've got. I was talking to him. They've got 12 to 15.
Oh, wow.
Like ground is broken. Essentially, they are like they're coming online in the next couple of years, and so not only is he moving into this national position, which he deserves every bit of, it's also going to be he's going to be overseeing these rooms being built and being starting to do shows there, and the same chain. Also has that huge amphitheater in Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
and then they have something in anyway. Yeah, so apart from the big Shane news and how easy it was to sound check, we spent a bunch of time recording some
yeah.
new stuff for what is now shaping up to look like a disco project.
Yeah. You would have never expected Justin to meet a disco project. I'm not sure that was ever on your list.
It's fine.
We sound good. It's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I just don't. I mean, disco is one of those genres that I can completely appreciate what's good about it, and I can certainly hear the production and all that stuff. It just doesn't touch me personally. But anyway, we do sound good doing it, and we recorded another handful of songs, 6, 8
Yeah.
songs. We've learned our lesson. We've been getting really efficient in that we're not trying to record whole songs. To take a step back, Vic just needed audio to like put with some video and book the band and
then this week he sent out holds for 2 dates with this band.
that's already getting booked for.
Like, wow. Just based on audio tracks.
And it is,
you know?
and that's the brilliant thing about it, just based on the audio tracks. And that's the brilliant thing about it is like, well, maybe you don't want Petty Nicks, here's this other thing. And also because it's earlier days, you can't, and I hate how I saying this, but you can't afford Petty Nicks.
Oh.
We've got this other
right.
project that is
It's
getting off the
newer,
ground, and we can make you a price on that. And that works out great for us because then we get a chance to practice. And as we were talking backstage, and it's a cliche, we've probably said it a million times, like, you know, it's a cliche, so this isn't exact, but like one live show is worth 10 rehearsals. Like
Right.
you learn so much more actually getting it on its feet.
Yeah.
And somehow it sinks in your head more when you have to.
It's like an intensity. I think it has to do with intensity.
I think it does. You're doing it under pressure.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to forget it again.
Well, memories are made much more strongly when they are associated with emotion. And there is emotion associated with performing,
Yeah.
especially with a new band where you're nervous and you're trying to get everything
Right.
right and you're thinking really hard.
So there's I mean, it's just basically there's a lot of synergy in that. It's
Yeah.
great for us to get these shows. It's great for the people that are buying these shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's already 2 things booked for that, and yeah,
I gotta memorize some songs.
got to memorize some songs.
I only really worked on the first half of each song.
Right.
Because we were only recording the first
We
half
needed
of
a
each song.
verse and a chorus, and you know, no one wants to sit there and listen to a whole song for a demo.
Yeah.
For a live booking. Overall, though, then we got to the show, and I thought the show went great. I thought the piano thing, regardless of you tripping around, worked just as good as ever.
Yeah.
The crowd felt a little reserved, relatively, but I think it's just a little bit. We've talked about how this place used to be a little more of a party place, and people were really partying, and that second set would be that classic party set, and it was a little less that. It was a little more of a listening crowd this time.
That's right. We got a full pin drop. Entire venue was quiet for Landslide.
Right.
For like 3 or 4 seconds.
They weren't talking. They were just completely quiet, and it was great. You know, I mean, it was a sold out crowd, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was small.
Yeah.
It was just I kind of like it more. It's a little more of a listening crowd. They're a little more paying attention. and I don't care if they don't pay. Whatever they want to do is great. But, you know, people were dancing and everything. But, you know, it was just it was a great night.
Yeah.
I felt really good that night.
Yeah. It was good to be gigging again. You were getting that, like, it's been too long since I've had a gig sort of
It is
depression.
Well, it's the name of your company, and there is such a thing as a
Yes.
performance high, and you go long enough without them, and I personally, at least, start feeling not good.
You need a
'cause
fix.
I need a fix. And it's so funny because it's not like it's not like I need people to cheer for me. It's just like you get a little bit of a rush out of doing
Yeah,
it.
you want to kind of walk on that tightrope and
Yeah.
feel the nerves and feel the excitement.
Yeah.
It's peak.
I gotta say that's one of the things I enjoyed the most about Bobby coming out, and I'm gonna enjoy the most next weekend when Jerry Ska comes out. I loved that we didn't rehearse, and it was
Yeah.
like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
We're in front of 350 people. Let's figure it. Like the
Yeah.
tightropeness
Yeah.
of that is really fun, and just like, and I mean, it's not like you're worried about it. We're all good enough to, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like, it's in A minor. It's gonna work out,
Right.
But at the same time, I got a real rush out of that tightrope of just like, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
just see what happens.
Yeah.
And it was great. We were super worried about the weather because we have some nice weather now, but we were at the tail end of that big whatever, and it did turn out to be brutally cold, and there was a bit of snow, but oddly enough, and this is the only reason it's interesting, we had so much more snow up here than they did down in Colorado Springs, and that is the exact opposite of how it usually works.
Yeah.
Usually they get plastered and we're like, oh, it's an inch or two, but we had, I don't know, 8 inches, 6, 8.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then down there it was totally fine.
Yeah.
So, those were the shows, and they were...
Those are the shows. Yeah, I've got a couple of exciting developments sort of bubbling at Performance High that I want to just...
Well, there's
I
a
don't know,
lot
mention. There's
bubbling.
a lot.
Things have been gangbusters.
Things are going crazy. And I'm not going to give any specifics because some of this may not work out at all.
Sure.
But there is the potential for us to become tenants in a building that would be the ideal location, ideal size, like ideal location down to the street it's on
Yeah.
and the neighbors it's next to. That's looking positive so far.
Certainly possible.
Yeah, certainly possible. So that's exciting because I want Performance High to move into a real location this year,
Right.
or in a year or this year. So about 10 or 12 months away probably. And then the other one is I've got some communication going and I've had a meeting, going to have another meeting with another organization that does music education in Denver that is interested in partnering and coordinating on our classes so that we don't step on each other's toes and so that we can combine marketing. And
Right.
they have a big marketing machine and we don't.
Right.
They are already having a lot of success in their classes and they're still interested in partnering with us.
Which is something.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. They've got good attendance at 3 times the price we're charging.
Right.
2.5 times the price we're charging. And I think, but they don't offer as much as we do. We have a lot more topics. So
Yeah.
we can really fill out the calendar. So we'll see. I'm going to talk to them at the end of February again and see if we can hash out some actual like numbers and how logistics about how this will work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just exciting that it seems like opportunities are just coming out of the woodwork.
They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is amazing. I think we talked about it, and we're recording this Thursday night, and in just a few days, you are leaving to go to New Zealand.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been working nonstop. I have a lot to
You
do.
have been really slamming it.
Trying to get a couple 3 weeks ahead on everything
Yeah.
so I can really let go while I'm gone. But I'm excited.
Yeah. And I'm not going. So I'm less excited. But of course, I decided this time just did not.
Yeah, you were invited.
Yeah, I just didn't. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine.
And I've got work, and there's so much going on for me, and then and you're doing it Adrian style. You're going to be up early and hiking and
Exactly.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drinking lots of spreadsheets, I'm sure. No, probably not at all. But yeah, that's really coming up, and I guess that brings to light. So we are going to take a break with the pod,
Yeah.
and it might just be for the New Zealand thing. We talked about different ways we could get around doing it, or and maybe we will. I mean, we're gonna want to talk. I don't know, but it is. I know it doesn't seem like it, but this is a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing all of the work now. I just sit here and record with you, but then you have
Yeah.
to sync up the audio and the video and clean up the audio and do a little bit of editing and write the description and do the thumbnail and upload it to 3 places.
Yeah, and it varies, and sometimes it's an hour, and sometimes it's considerably more. But just in a work week, it just becomes it's a lot of work, and it's not enjoyable. If you think you don't like hearing the sound of your own voice on a voicemail or something, try editing together a 30-minute show of mainly you talking. It's not really. We both talk, but you know what I'm saying. It's not a blast.
The editing part.
The editing part. It is so fun to do the talking. So we may come back with a different format. We don't know if we're going to do a different. We may not do it weekly. We may do them just completely live. So if you can imagine, even rougher than this. But we'll just basically just record it, send it out.
Yeah.
So we're discussing how we're going to do it, but if you don't see one for a couple weeks, it's planned. To be fair, we're still on season 1.
3 years in.
And so we're going to take a little season break.
Yeah.
And see how we want to come back.
For the next 3 years.
Yeah. And what we want it to be. And gosh, if anybody does have any suggestions, sure, we'd love to hear them.
I'm not going to read the comments, though, so don't try.
Adrian doesn't read comments. That's
you
me.
do? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I do. And actually, I owe Bob Qualls a comment. A reply. Yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. And I don't know that it means we're stopping. It just might change, or we might stop. I don't know. We're going to, this is a natural break.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take a minute and see how we feel about keeping doing this. And that does not mean that we don't appreciate everybody having watched for as long as they have and as often as they have.
Yeah. It'll be kind of like when I retired from competitive water skiing. So I don't know how many years in. I was 16 years in of competing really seriously. And one year I was like, I think I need a break. I'm just not into this anymore. I'm going to take a break for 1 year and then see how I come back.
Right.
And that ended up being a change of format. I have not competed since then, since I took a temporary break. I think I took a full 2 or 3 years off of water skiing, and then I came back recreationally, and that's what I do now. It's just I have a different reason, a different format, a different level of commitment to it.
Yeah.
That works for me now.
And, we'll just see. We're not going away totally one way or another, or maybe we are, but the plan right now is, we're just going to figure something out. Big bullet point, if you don't see one for a couple of weeks, that is because Adrian is taking another trip of a lifetime.
I'm going to take multiple trips of a lifetime. Per year.
You're going to keep taking them in the future. And that's what you love to do. And we're not going to let you go without at least a proper, we'll come back and do one more.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, if we just decide we're not going to do it, don't worry.
Oh, we'll actually announce this is it?
This is it.
Oh,
we'll do another one. We'll,
to close it off properly.
Oh, we do have a recommendation for you.
We do. We'll leave you with this recommendation for a salad dressing.
Yeah, because we are loving it.
So Justin's been really into salads lately. We both have been, but that's new for him.
Yeah, I didn't used to like salad, and then now I get it.
And the gym.
Yeah, and the gym.
You like the gym now.
I do like the gym.
So anyway.
I missed 2 days, and I'm down about it.
We're getting healthy.
Yeah.
So our recommendation is Trader Joe's green goddess dressing. Not just the goddess dressing.
Right, which is a different thing.
Yeah, because they have the regular goddess dressing that's in the shape of a bottle that you would expect
Yeah, like a generic salad dressing,
salad dressing
bottle.
This one looks like a pressed juice bottle. It's green and it's square and tall
Yeah.
and thin,
Yeah,
and much of it is pressed juice.
it basically is. But
It is so good. It's like putting vegetables on your vegetables, but it makes your vegetables better.
it doesn't. I mean, it's got a bunch of garlic and
Basil and chives and
all this
lemon.
stuff. But on a salad, it doesn't taste. It's not adding any flavor. It's just. I mean, it's not adding any specific flavor. Like it's not like a balsamic or a.
Right. It's not adding oil is one of the
Well,
things,
that's
you
one
know?
of the things. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like a honey mustard or like
Yeah.
a French dressing or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's more bright vegetable taste.
Yeah.
It's
it
delicious.
Just, like, makes it even fresher and brighter.
I bet you could put it on almost anything.
You could practically drink that stuff.
I mean, it's almost just pressed juice, but man, is it good on a salad. So go out and get some Trader Joe's
Green goddess.
Green Goddess dressing. Anyway, thank you guys so much. We are, in fact, sponsored, as always, by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
And we will see you soon, probably.
Take care.